Hello and welcome to our show. This is Analytic Energy Agency, and my name is Alexey Presnov, and I'm glad to welcome all of you again on our YouTube channel. As I said before, we are on some kind of semi-vacation, so we don't work completely, but time to time we have decided to be in touch with you, and we produce video in Russian. And those who follow us, they can see that those videos were issued, like 3 of them, since last time we spoke with you in English. And I can tell you also that YouTube already gave us an opportunity to have those subtitles in English, so you can just go to subtitles and choose auto translation, and you will have that in English or Russian video. So if you're interested, you can do that. But we have decided to continue our English broadcasting as well, because sometimes it's just kind of training for us as well, because we are anyway. I have some international cooperation with our colleagues abroad, and some items and some topics it's better to discuss in English, especially those which concern geopolitics, and probably that it is more interesting for our English speaking auditorium. And let's just briefly review what is going on in Russia and Kazakhstan and our power sectors. Since last time we met with you, it was 18th of June, so it's just about 2 weeks have passed, more than 2 weeks. The thing is that I can say that there are a lot of events are happening, and no, it's normal because it's the summertime. Also, those uncertainties with regard to development of the sectors, especially in Russia, remain in force. Because, as you know, geopolitics gives us the idea that all those hopes which we actually experienced back in May and April, they are just vanishing, because it becomes clear that this peace agreement between Russia and Ukraine is far, far away of reality, and the positions are very far apart, and we can see also that all those efforts of the United States administration and President Trump in particular, they are in vain. My understanding is because they are not deep dived enough in terms of attempts to understand what is really going on in between Russia and Ukraine, and what are the reasons of that events, or the reason of this war, and those reasons and those causes should be addressed, but they are not. At the moment, we cannot see that, and it's very kind of ping pong between two positions, because Russia says we need to resolve those issues which are underlying for this war, but Ukraine just says that, okay, let's have kind of ceasefire first, and then we will talk about all those things later on. And of course, Russia considers that kind of disadvantage for itself, because it's obvious that Russia is advancing, and Russian side is advancing on the front line, and so to stop just to without any base for negotiations, it seems to Russia is useless, and that's why actually everything continues, and that also gives a sad uncertainties to economy in general, to our industry in particular, and specifically with regard to all those programs which Russia has when it comes to development of renovation of the industry, all those challenges which Russia experiences right now, because the infrastructure of industry, of power industry, is degrading slowly, especially in say in those network and distribution network in the first place, and the plans for like a general scheme of energy objects placement, it's called the special documents and formal documents, and up to 2042 requires a lot of money. It requires 40 trillion rubles in current money and current nominations of rubles, and without inflation in rubles of this 2025 year 2025. And it's tremendous amount of money, and with those bank rates up to when you can get a loan up to 25-30%, it's impossible, of course, to develop anything and to start investing. And that's a problem, and that is, it depends, of course, on the geopolitical situation. So we cannot say that the war and all this conflict doesn't mean anything for Russians and for Russian industry, for Russian economy. Of course, it does. It influences a lot and makes our life worse, more difficult. I have to struggle with all those restrictions, and that is actually also affects the relations between Russia and Kazakhstan. Why? Because Russia, as we know, is going to build first a nuclear power plant in Kazakhstan, and also it was designated to build three CHP stations, the combined heat and power plants in three regions of Kazakhstan. That was decided back in 2024. It was an agreement, preliminary agreement was struck between Interal, it's a Russian state company, export-import operations operator. So it's the largest company, also generation company. Also, it has some assets in this power machinery manufacturing and so on. It's the biggest company, and also it's run by Rosneftegas, which in turn is run by the chairman of that company is Mr. Sechin, Igor Sechin. Probably heard that name, and he is also chairman of the board in Rosneft, CEO, right, Chief Executive Officer, what I meant. And it's very influential person in Russian in energy sector. And that company was designated to build all three stations, but again, there are no financing for that, because financing it was agreed that financing will be special on the lower, rate, special rate. It's between the intergovernmental agreement and so on. But my understanding is in current restrictions, Russia doesn't have enough, abilities and capabilities to find. It's about let's say about $3 billion, something like that, or probably less, up to not 3 billion. I think it's $1.5 billion dollars, because as we said before, for instance, in Siberia in 2024, there were some tenders there, some auctions where Russian similar power stations were built, were designed to build. They're not built yet, but were designated and calculated to be built at the rate of $5,000 per kilowatt of installed capacity. And so if you just transfer to that capacity, it's around 1 gigawatt in Kazakhstan in 3 power stations. It will be just $1.5 billion. That is a huge amount of money for Russia right now for these sectors. And especially there is some lack of financing for Russian objects the Russian territory. So there is a delay with this project, and Kazakhstanians now they talk about that it would be some other vendors, like for instance South Koreans or Chinese, and especially their lean to Chinese choice, because Chinese are very famous for this for those coal-fired power plants technologies. They build supercritical parameters, and they call them clean. There is very good equipment like electric filters and others, which actually remove all these ashes and all this. I think it's NOx, particles and that kind of things. But of course, it's not about decarbonization. It's not about they cannot, because again they consume coal as a fuel for this stations that coal fired. But supercritical parameters, they give the opportunity to decrease the use of coal about 2 times to 2.5 times. It's less than normal coal-fired, so those steam turbines, which are under critical and other supercritical parameters of pressure. But the thing is that China, it doesn't give any special credits or special loans, because it's not their practice. They're not accustomed to that, and normally they don't actually finance all those coal-fired power stations abroad. It was a special decision on that made by a Central Committee of Chinese Communist Party several years ago, because, as you know, they are for decarbonization agenda, for this kind of things. They are very, very oriented for a low carbon future in the industry in general, and the power industry in particular. So it's difficult to say who is going to build those stations. Even in one region, it's Kokshetau. The region's name is Kokshetau. There are some rumors and there are some talks that there's no need to build that kind of CHP, combined heat and power station, and they can just use some kind of heat boilers, not producing electricity. We will see what will happen on that, but it creates kind of tensions on political level between Kazakhstan and Russia. You can see that in the in the media and all those articles. They appear time to time that Russians are then unable to deliver. And unable to deliver their promises and that kind of things. And it's interesting time especially, there are some other geopolitical tensions and crises, like say between Russia and Azerbaijan. Also, it's and Kazakhstan and other Central Asian countries. They are very close to Azerbaijan now, and to Turkey also. It's interesting things are happening right now, and in geopolitics, which affect our all of those events. They affect the development of our interests. As for Kazakhstan, they continue to talk about all those plans, all these huge plans to renovate their industry, to build there and here and everywhere. But again, they still don't, pay much attention. How much does it cost, and how to restructure their uh, construct, actually their market, because as I said many times, they still don't have a normal market, and what is happening, the level of wholesale prices, it went up twice since single buyer the model of single buyer was introduced back in 2023, July 1st. Now it's beginning of July 2025, and we see that the price used to be 13 tenge per kilowatt hour in the beginning, and now they're 26. And there are no prospects so that they can be somehow contained, and we don't speak about decrease them, at least to just to contain their growth. Because it's tremendous growth for 2 years. It's a wholesale level, of course, plus you have to pay for distribution, for extra for so this bulk read. It's called company Kigok, and which actually manages the whole power system of Kazakhstan. And all that, it means that, also, if we talk about that many times already, that if they continue with all those programs within the next few years, their wholesale prices will be like, I think, 2 times more than today. It's about 50, maybe 60 tenge per kilowatt hour, and end prices will be just about 100, as many observers predict. And if if it happens, we will see that Kazakhstan will be completely non-competitive in all terms, and just you can close the country in economic sense, and that is very dangerous development. But still, I cannot see that the government understands that clearly and want to do something, and understands the danger of all this kind of development. That is what I wanted to explain today for you, and let's see how it's going on further on, and we will stay in touch. We will resume, in full scale our broadcast. I think in the end of August, probably something like that. But we will see if something happens, something extraordinary happens. So of course we will come out with that, and we'll explain our position to you. And as I said again in the beginning, and for those who didn't listen from the beginning, didn't watch it from the very beginning, our Russian language broadcasts, our Russian language videos now have the option to translate in English. Just go to the subtitles, find this auto translation, find English, and just switch it, push on that, and you will have at least English subtitles, so we can understand what we're talking about on our Russian language videos. Thank you for watching, and see you next time. Thank you.